A blue-eyed boy so full of life who wanted to make everyone laugh. 12-year-old Logan Carter was killed when he was thrown from a playground roundabout at Winsford in Cheshire on Friday evening. Police believe an e-bike was being used to make it go faster. A 13-year-old boy was arrested, as Anna Jameson reports.
An infectious personality and a beautiful smile. That's how the family of 12-year-old Logan Carter have described their son, who died at the Wharton Recreation Park on Friday, just days before the start of a new school year.
Last week of the summer holidays, and this happens, you know, and I feel so sorry for his family. He's got a lovely family. He's a nice lad, he's always laughing and joking, you know. Nice lad, it's a shame. It's a tragedy.
Cheshire Police are investigating reports that the wheels of an e-bike were used to propel the roundabout from which Logan fell. A 13-year-old boy has been arrested and released on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving.
It upset me badly because I've got 3 lads myself, you know, for such a young age. And it shook everyone up here. Everywhere's gone quiet.
Well, today people have been laying flowers, football shirts, footballs and balloons, writing messages to Bear, his nickname, and Logan, forever 12. Staff at Wharton Primary School also came to pay their respects. His current school, Winsford Academy, say they're deeply saddened and are supporting pupils.
Awful, the most terrible thing. You know, I've never had it myself where a child's passed away, but I hate to think what his parents are thinking.
Nearly £15,000 has already been raised online for his family. In a statement, they say everyone wanted to be where Logan was. He was a little boy who was so full of life and wanted to make everyone laugh. He made every day worth living. Logan was everyone's therapy person, their calm, and he will be missed more than we can ever put into words. And tomorrow, the family are releasing light blue balloons here as they come to terms with what they call the loss of their blue-eyed boy. Anna Jameson, BBC North West Tonight in Winsford.
The new Chief Constable of Merseyside Police started work today. His name's Rob Carden. He previously led Cumbria Police and he says he'll put neighbourhood policing at the heart of his plans. But Mr Carden has tough decisions to make in having to find savings of £31 million. Andy Gill's been speaking to him.
The new boss chats to new recruits at Merseyside Police's training centre in Liverpool. Rob Carden, an Evertonian, has spent most of his career on his home turf. But he takes over here having been Chief Constable of Cumbria. Coming back to Merseyside, where his dad was also a policeman, was a challenge he couldn't resist.
Best police force, best county, city in the country and the world. That's what I'd say. The vast majority of my career is in Merseyside. I live in Merseyside, so do my family. So as a stakeholder and a personal perspective, you know, it's a selfish reason, but it's in my interest for Merseyside Police to do well.
As the new Chief Constable of Merseyside, what's your priority going to be?
The priority is going to be increasing public trust and confidence across communities in Merseyside. There's always opportunities to improve, but the shadow of that, really, the backdrop to that is the need to save £31 million over the next 4 to 5 years.
If you've got that much money to save, £31 million over 5 years, that's going to make it really difficult. Does that mean people won't see officers in their neighbourhood, will be seeing fewer police?
Now, that won't be the case. The cornerstone of policing for me is neighbourhood policing, and there are already plans to increase that. Merseyside have them well in train. The issue is to look at the officers we have and try and work out what is essential, what gives us the excellence and the basic, what delivers those outcomes, and what's more nice to have. Now, I'm not, some people aren't doing fantastic jobs. There's great work going across Merseyside, but we're going to have to make some really difficult decisions about what stays, what goes, what changes.
Mr Carden says he already has ideas about how to achieve his aims while dealing with that big budget cut. He can put those ideas into practice from today. Andy Gill, BBC North West Today, Liverpool.
A man has been charged with the murder of 28-year-old Caleb Gibson, who was found with stab wounds at Newton Heath in Manchester on Friday. He died later in hospital. Fire crews dealt with the blaze on Southport Pier in the early hours of this morning. It's believed there was an electrical fault. The Victorian structure has been closed for 3 years over safety concerns, but is due to be restored. 40% of inmates at HMP Kirkham are testing positive for drugs. That's according to His Majesty's Chief Inspector of Prisons. That's up from 25% last year, when it was the highest in the country already. A prison service spokesperson says that improvements are being made. Liverpool will host a concert by 82-year-old crooner Barry Manilow next June. He says it will be part of his last UK tour. And staying in Liverpool, it was transformed into Gotham City over the weekend as filming began on the DC Studios film Clayface. Gotham police cars, ambulances and graffiti were spotted in Derby Square. Liverpool Crown Court was transformed into Gotham Hospital, and the film is due out next year. Let's have a quick look at some of the other stories that people are reading online this evening from BBC News. And a Burnley bus firm is offering interviews to workers who are at risk of redundancy by the closure of the Debenhams distribution centre in the town. Transdev says it needs new staff. Edale Mountain Rescue Team stretchered a climber to safety yesterday after they sustained a back injury in a significant fall in the Peak District. They were taken to hospital. And wildlife organisations on the Isle of Man have united to produce guidance for safely observing wild animals on and around the island. Disturbing some species is a criminal offence. You can find out more at bbc.co.uk/local news, or as always, have a look on the BBC News app. Now, an inquest into the death of a stroke patient at Blackpool Victoria Hospital has heard that she was sexually assaulted after being admitted. Valerie Neal died at the unit in November 2018. The inquest was paused for a police investigation. Let's go live to our health correspondent, Jill Dummigan. She's at Blackpool Coroner's Court for this evening. You may find some of what Jill has to say upsetting because, Jill, there were some shocking details there today.
Yes, Roger, in fact, that Valerie Neal's family have been dealing with for the best part of 7 years now. Mrs Neal was 75 prior to her stroke. She was in reasonable health. She was described in court today as a strong, smart woman. Now, we heard today that when her family left her side on the night of November the 12th, she was chatting away. She'd had the stroke several hours earlier, but soon with it, she was asking about her books and glasses. By the time they went back to the stroke unit on the morning of Tuesday, she was lying semi-conscious, seemed to be in pain, and they were told that she was unlikely to survive, and in fact she did die 3 days later. The post-mortem found that the cause of her death wasn't the stroke, but a hemorrhage caused by a sexual assault after she'd been admitted to hospital, but at least 2 days before she died. Now, the police announced a murder investigation. That went on for 6 years. They went on Crime Watch. There was a £20,000 reward for information, but nobody was ever charged with her murder. And earlier this year, the active criminal investigation was brought to a close, and that's why this inquest can now finally be held.
And Jill, you mentioned that Mrs Neal's family were there today. They were talking about her final days.
Yes, in particular her daughter Sharon and her son Mike. Now, they said when she was first taken into hospital, it was to a side room. That's where they left her on that first evening. By the time they came back in again, she'd been moved firstly to a ward, then to a side room, and they never found out why. By this stage, she was only semi-conscious but seemed very agitated. And in hindsight, her daughter said, I do believe she was trying to indicate and tell us something. We also heard from Valerie Neal's niece, Lisa Skinner, about the impact of her death on the family, which she said had been huge.
And Jill, on the subject of the police investigation, today we heard from the officer who led that, who talked about the lack of forensic evidence, didn't she?
Yes, shortly after Mrs Neal's death, the healthcare workers noticed a lot of blood. They did raise this with other staff, but it didn't go any further. A post-mortem was 2.5 weeks later, and it was actually as part of an unrelated investigation the police were already carrying out in the stroke unit. So the manner of her death was found almost by chance. Now, former Detective Chief Inspector Jill Riley said by that stage potential forensic evidence like clothing and bedding had been destroyed, the room had been cleaned, and the CCTV had already been recorded over. The inquest continues tomorrow and is expected to last all week.
Jill, thank you very much. Jill Dummigan, live in Blackpool. Now, if you know your birds, you will recognise these little ones as bearded tits. They are among the most eagerly watched birds at Leighton Moss Nature Reserve in Lancashire. Bird ringing is currently underway there so that wardens can understand more about the way that all kinds of different species move around the world. Annie Knowlson reports.
Leighton Moss, home to the largest reed bed in the northwest. Through an area of tall reeds you'll find Stuart and Nick. Whether it's late evenings or early mornings, they're here to ring birds.
We've got a biter, it's Pluto.
They put specialist nets up for a few hours at a time to catch the birds. These are constantly checked, as welfare is paramount to the practice.
We take the bird out, and the first thing we do obviously is to identify what species it is. This is a reed warbler. So this is a migratory bird, winters in Africa, and then comes all the way here to Leighton Moss to breed. Every bird that we ring gets one of these. There are different sizes for different sized birds. And then if you have a look on there, every single ring has a unique number on it.
Right. Wing measurements and weight are also recorded. This up-close method can show detailed information.
If you have a look at the tail on that one, we can see what's called a fault bar. So you've got this pale little window going right the way across like that. And that basically tells us that this bird has experienced a short period where it was struggling to get enough food. Probably coincided with one of the local storms that we've had. But it's absolutely fine now.
150 species of birds visit Leighton Moss every year, with 80 of these species breeding here. And it's this wetland habitat that's behind me that's really important to ensure that the populations thrive here.
Stuart first started birdwatching here in the 1980s and has been bird ringing all over the world for 25 years.
Once you've got birds individually marked, then of course that allows you to definitively study where they go, how long they live, whether they've bred successfully. And the idea is that in a perfect world, somebody else will catch your bird. Here at Leighton Moss a few weeks ago, we caught a sedge warbler with a Belgian ring on it. So it has the address of museum in Brussels on the ring. And we now submit that information to the ringing scheme in Belgium, and then hopefully over the next month or so, we'll find out where it was ringed. The only people allowed to do bird ringing in the country are fully trained. It takes a lot of investment to get your licence. All of the evidence by anybody who's ever studied this shows that the actual fitting of the ring itself has no measurable effect on the birds. It doesn't weigh anything, it weighs proportionally less than a wristwatch. If it's done properly by licence holders, then there's no evidence of any impact.
Yeah.
And if you look at the pattern of the crown feathers.
Nick works at the reserve and is nearly at the end of his training. He says it's taken years to get to this point.
It's quite intensive. It's not just about putting the ring on the bird. Even putting up the nets is, you know, many sessions of learning there.
Currently, these bird ringers are on the lookout for one species in particular.
So many people who come to Leighton Moss to birdwatch will have seen their first bearded tit here, and people still come to this day hoping to get a glimpse.
The reserve manages this wetland especially to protect populations of birds, including the bearded tit, and I was lucky enough to see one. Flying free and providing important information to help protect other birds for years to come. Annie Knowlson, BBC North West Tonight, Lancashire.
It is a really tranquil and beautiful place. Right, looking at the clock, 13 minutes for the region's football clubs to make any signings or any sales before the transfer window closes. And Julia, you have it all at your fingertips because you've got your own clock.
Look at this, we've got a clock. Yeah, we don't have to stay up late either for deadlines tonight because it shuts at 7 p.m. and the summer's most acrimonious transfer has come to an end with the agreement over Alexander Isak. The player was said to have refused to play for Newcastle to force through his move to Liverpool. Here's Eunice Muller.
Liverpool's pursuit of Alexander Isak has been quite a saga, but a deal has finally been agreed for a record transfer fee of £125 million. The player arrived in Liverpool today for a medical before signing a 6-year contract. At Anfield, the word was already out.
What do you think Isak will add to the side?
Goals, physicality, and just all-round talent.
Turn around. So there's no name there. Turn back round. What's the name that's going to be on that shirt now?
Alexander Isak.
You've got your scarf.
Yeah.
Are you going to be getting an Isak shirt as well?
Yes.
What do you think of him joining?
I think it'll be good for the team, and we've come far. So yeah, I'm very happy.
Newcastle had rejected a first approach of £110 million, but the Swedish international made it clear he wanted to move and hasn't featured in the first 3 games of the season.
The supporters, while they don't want to lose Isak because he's a wonderful player, they were unhappy with the way this had been conducted, the fact he was training away from the team and had been public and really strong in his determination to go. So I think they probably accept, as the club have done, in reaching a compromise.
Liverpool first broke their club transfer record this summer by signing Florian Wirtz. There have been further additions, including Hugo Ekitike, who was also wanted by Newcastle. The Alexander Isak deal brings Liverpool's total spending to at least £416 million. That's the highest total in Premier League history. The departures of Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez and a number of other players have helped Liverpool recoup some of their massive spending.
From a lot of the fan base online, it was, we're not spending enough, we're not acting like a big football club, and I don't think anybody can look at this summer and say we're not acting like a big football club. We're acting like the biggest football club in the world, and certainly the biggest club in England.
There remain questions over how Arne Slot will play Isak, but fans have no doubt they've acquired one of the most highly rated goal scorers. Jonas Muller, BBC North West Tonight, Liverpool.
With Alexander Isak arriving at Anfield, he looks to be joined by Crystal Palace captain Mark Gahey, with £35 million agreed for the England defender. But that deal hasn't been confirmed just yet. Well, Harvey Elliott is leaving Liverpool for a loan move to Aston Villa. That includes an obligation to buy him for £35 million. And there's deadline day activity at the other 4 North West Premier League clubs too. Burnley have agreed to sign midfielder Florentino Lewis from Benfica. It looks to be a club record purchase too, with a loan move first and then an obligation to buy for £20.8 million. Everton hoping to get their deal done for Freiburg's Germany under-21 midfielder Merlin Roll. It would be their 9th summer signing too. Manchester City hope to sign goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma from Paris Saint-Germain. He will cost them just over £30 million. Current keeper Ederson on his way out to Turkish side Fenerbahce. And it is a new goalkeeper too for Manchester United. They've agreed a deal to sign Sen Lamen from Royal Antwerp for just over £18 million. And striker Rasmus Højlund is on the way out of Old Trafford. He's heading to Napoli on loan. If you want more on all these deals, BBC Radio Manchester and BBC Radio Merseyside are both live right now and on air until 8 o'clock with a special dedicated transfer show. You can access them via the BBC Sport website and listen back on BBC Sounds. On to the on-field action now, and even more good news for Liverpool. The champions top the early Premier League table after Dominic Szoboszlai's stunning free kick secured a 1-0 win over title rivals Arsenal. Burnley look to have earned a point away at Manchester United after Jadon Anthony made it 2-2 at Old Trafford. But the same player's shirt pull on Ahmed was spotted by VAR. A penalty was given and Bruno Fernandes converted the spot kick for an injury time win. Everton made it back-to-back wins with a 3-2 success at Wolves. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall with the pick of the goals. Manchester City lost again, this time 2-1 at Brighton. It was a disappointing weekend for our Championship sides, with defeats for Blackburn and at home to Norwich and Preston at Portsmouth. Both League One derbies ended 1-1. Blackpool took the lead at home to Bolton after Dale Taylor's deflected shot hit the post and then went in off keeper Teddy Sharman-Lowe. Wanderers equalised through Mason Burstow, his 3rd goal since a loan move from Hull. Stockport took an early lead at Wigan after Jayden Fevre's effort went in off Latics defender Morgan Fox. The home side levelled with 12 minutes to go. Christian Sadie with a goal. In League Two, Fleetwood made it the most of playing against 10 men for 80 minutes. Ryan Graydon with the only goal away to Barrow. On to Super League now, and Wigan have kept up the pressure on leaders Hull KR after a big win in France. Liam Marshall scored a hat-trick as the Warriors rolled a 40-4 victory. But the win of the weekend belongs to Salford, who put all of their off-field problems behind them to record a 25-12 success away to Warrington. There you go, that's your latest. We've got 7 minutes left according to my big clock, Roger.
It's a very big clock. There's a lot of talking for you there, Julia. Well done. And you can follow for the next few minutes, and then after 7, those transfer programmes on BBC Radio Manchester, BBC Radio Merseyside. Also find them on the BBC iPlayer right now. Right, weather with Kay in just a moment. But over the next few weeks, we're going to be introducing you to some of the nominees for the BBC Local Radio Make a Difference Awards. They happen every year, and they honour people who've gone above and beyond for their communities. Tonight, we meet a schoolgirl from Wilmslow in Cheshire who ran 100 kilometres for charity while going through treatment for a brain tumour. She did it to raise money for Young Lives versus Cancer, and here's her story.
I was having headaches every so often. So when we went to the doctors, they just said it was migraine. They just wouldn't go away. So we went to the doctors and my parents pushed them to get me to do an MRI scan. The next day, they called us in. They informed us of the devastating news that I had a brain tumour and would need an emergency brain surgery to save my life. It was just such a big shock and I couldn't believe it. I was quite scared because I just didn't know what was going to happen. So this lovely decorated mask was the mask that would keep me completely still during my proton radiotherapy treatment. They would screw it down while I was lying down. They would put it on me. It would help me stay completely still during my treatment. And I decided to keep it in my bedroom because even though radiotherapy may have not been the very best time of my life, I think it's quite a good thing for me to always remember and in some ways be thankful for. At the time when I was starting treatment, it was September, which was Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So it was kind of like, how can I kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Take my mind off the treatment, but also raise money for charity and help other people like me. I decided to run 100 kilometres because I hated running. I thought it would be definitely a good challenge, let's put it like that. I'd go to school first, then my mum or dad would come pick me up from school and take me to the Christie Proton Beam Therapy Centre so I could have my treatment. Then I would go home and get ready to go for my run, or if I was extremely tired, I'd go to sleep and then go for my run. Throughout my runs, I was just extremely tired and I hate running, so that was even worse. But like on days I had treatment, I would only run 1 to 2 kilometres because I was just so tired and I would have really bad headaches, just feel sick. But closer to the end of my treatment, I became extremely unwell. So I was admitted to the Children's Hospital, and then the day after my treatment ended, I had to have my 2nd brain surgery. But my dad finished the challenge and ran the last little bit on my behalf. I'm okay now. I'm just living my life as normally as I can. It feels really cool, and it's such a privilege to be nominated and recognised for this, especially since we all have the power to make a difference.
Really well done to Maya, and we'll meet some more of the Make a Difference Award nominees over the course of the next few weeks. Right, Monday, new place on the map, Kay.
Yes.
Raining. Apparently there were thunderstorms in, I think, the Southport, somebody emailed to say.
Oh, yeah, we've had some thunder, some lightning, and a new place, as you say.
Brian says Southport, massive downpour.
Brian, you need the brolly. Eleanor and Hector, keep your eyes out. You'll see it in a moment. Let's take a look at the pictures, because we did see some lovely spells of sunshine in between the showers that Roger mentioned. But equally, look at this picture that Alan took over Manchester city centre. Really heavy shower clouds, and they have given us some thunder and lightning as we've been through today. Thanks for your pictures. You can always send those through or become BBC Weather Watcher. So what's going on this week? Well, it's an unsettled start to meteorological autumn. 11. Tomorrow it will be less windy. There will be some heavy rain around for a time on Wednesday morning. High pressure will start to build. The weekend at this stage, do you know what? It's not looking too bad. Temperatures will be rising ever so slightly, but low pressure in charge to start the week. As I mentioned through Wednesday, this is the feature that's going to come up, so there will be further heavy rain in the Cards Gardens, though, really welcoming it after such a dry and incredibly warm summer. Now, any clear skies that you do get tonight, you could well see the aurora. There will be still some showers as we head overnight tonight as well. Temperatures dip down to about 9 degrees, a bit cooler than it was last night. Still quite breezy. So it will be a blustery start to your day tomorrow morning. I think for parts of Cumbria and Lancashire, you'll see showers from the word go, and then through the day we will see further showers coming through, and cloud will generally increase into the afternoon. Top temperatures around 20 degrees through the day tomorrow. Low pressure then firmly in charge, and that feature will come through. As it pushes away, we start to get high pressure building and we start to get a southerly airflow, so into the weekend temperatures will pick up ever so slightly. But Wednesday it will be a poor start today, some heavy downpours of rain. It's one to watch, particularly for rush hour through the morning. Kids, of course, back to school. Top temperatures through tomorrow up to about 17 or 18 degrees. The winds will be light through tomorrow. They'll pick up through tomorrow night. Thursday looks to be another blustery day. Scattered showers, some heavy, possibly thundery. A better day to come on Friday, and at this stage, like I said, into Saturday, it's not looking too bad at all. That's your forecast.
But as you said, we really do need the rain, don't we?
We do, but the kids are back at school, and that usually means that the sun comes out and we can all enjoy some peace and quiet in the sunshine.
You're just bothered about the peace and quiet, aren't you? Yes, I thought. Kay, thank you very much. Thank you. Steve's here with the late news for you at 10:30, but from all the 6:30 team, thanks as always for watching. Good night.
Care.